Thanks for tuning in to Bitches Be Cray. Just a quick reminder, everything we share on this show reflects our personal experiences and what's worked for us. We're not healthcare professionals, so if you or someone you know is dealing with a medical or mental health concern, please reach out to a qualified professional for support. What's up, bitches? Welcome to Bitches Be Cray. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nancy. And today we're going to be talking about, this is probably by far my favorite because it's so much fun to feel this way. Betrayal.
Yeah, the betrayal wound. I don't remember if you put the mask on there, but it's the controller. Boy, this sounds just like me right from that first description.
Anyway. That's my best friend. It starts between the ages of 2 to 4 from the opposite sex. People who tend to have betrayal are those really strong people that you see, the ones that like, they are just like fucking Superman. They look like they can do it all. Oh my god. They're just strong.
You saw the picture and you're like, man,
I wish I had betrayal more.
This is the wound to have if you want to have
wound. They have the best bodies.
Like the people who are like in the gym.
Yeah,
I mean, not that it's. I mean,
they like typically stand up straight. They have like very proportionate bodies. They just exude like strong, just the strong. If you're a male, you have wide shoulders. If you're a woman, you have wide hips. Protruding chest. What is a protruding chest?
Like sticking out.
I'm a foreigner, so like the men that have the pecs
like
out.
Pumping. Yeah.
And if you're a also protruding stomach, so just like I guess intense, seductive look. They just disassociate a lot. And just basically, I'm able to do it. I can do it. You let me do it. Or I knew that you were gonna let me down. I shouldn't have trusted you. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
They believe they're responsible and strong, and they want everybody else to know, and they want to feel like kind of like a pick me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, I'm so strong. I'm so independent. Oh my god, I'm relatable. I want to be, and they just want to be special and important. They tend not to keep their promises and their commitments. They lie very easily. They have big expectations. They tend to like act fast. They always want to be right, and they always want others to agree. They have a fear of broken commitment. They're very skeptical. Greatest fear is disassociation, separation, from themselves, and also from others, like being exiled, kind of like back in the day when you were like a piece of shit, and they were like, you can't live here anymore. Their eating habits, they have a good appetite. They eat very fast. And in front of others, they could control themselves. But later on, they'll lose control.
Yeah. I'm just so surprised that my body doesn't look more like this one. Maybe at some point in my life it did, because like I just hear most, not absolutely everything, but most, I'm just like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. It's like when you read something about your like horoscope or something, you're like, oh yeah, like you relate,
me.
you know? Yeah. One thing that I definitely do is I expect a lot from others. I expect a lot of myself as well, though. So I don't know if it's because, well, hey, I'm holding myself up to this standard, so you need to come join me, or if it's just because I want things to be like, you know, the way I want them to be. But like Nancy will tell you that I'm often late. However, these past few years I've been better. I've been better. I've really been. But you know, I'm learning that if I'm about to see if I have ADHD, like truly like diagnosed with ADHD, and something that some people with ADHD have is time blindness. Like you literally just don't understand how to give yourself enough time to get ready or to drive to a location. I mean, it's semi an excuse, but also it helps me understand it, right? Because once you know, you can work on it, which is what I feel like I did. Like I realized, like, oh, I'm always late. But anyway, my point is like I don't like it when people are late. I'm really bothered when people are late. I'm also kind of bothered when people are like too early. Like, I guess again, I think what I expect of others is what I expect of me. Like, I just want somebody to show up like on time. Like if I'm gonna be on time, I want you to be on time. But if I'm late, I guess I got to give people grace because you know, Nancy's making faces about me. as we said, the mask of this wound is like being in control. It's
Yep.
all about control. I love control. If you ask a lot of people to describe me, that's probably something somebody would say is how much I want to like plan everything. Like we go on trips and like I'll plan it. I'll like I mean like on the trip, like on a cruise, like okay, let's look at the day. What's available tomorrow? What are we going to do at these times? Like it's really important to me to know what's going to happen
Yeah.
and like to like the expectations of it, like what are we going to eat, what's on the menu, what time are we going to be there, what day are we going to be there. Like I just love to know when and what's happening all the time, not just around food. I said food, but with everything.
She does.
Acting quickly, so like finding it really hard when other people take their time to explain things. Like I think like I'm going back to the food example because I feel like I don't know if I don't know what the word is. I don't know if I'm like embarrassed or impatient, but like if I'm like at a place with someone, like if I've told this person like if we're going to meet, like this is the place we're going, I often will send people the menus. Right? Like in a text, I'll be
She's a
like,
psychopath.
I'm like, we're going here. Here's the menu if you want to look. I don't be like, hey, you have to look at this. You have to know what you're going to get, obviously. But I give a little gentle push, like, here it is if you want to check out the menu, basically. Sometimes I do that because people really have allergies. I'm like, are you going to be cool here? Like, what, But most of the time, it's like, in my mind, I'm like, I want you to figure out what you want. So when we get there, we can order the food because I find it really hard. Like, I'll get there and I'll order, I'm ready to go. Like, I know what's
Yeah, because you
happening.
knew that 3 months ago.
Yeah. But then, like, and
Not everybody has your trauma,
I
bitch.
know that, and I'm okay when people need like a moment to look over the like somebody comes and takes your drink order, you take that time to look at the menu. If you didn't look, okay, cool. But then if you still don't know, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Like I don't say that, but in my mind, I'm like, you still don't know. You just like spent like 3 minutes looking. How do you not know? Or then they're like, okay, I'll give you some more time and I'll come back, and so they do. And then they come back and you still don't know. Like, I just don't understand it. I'm just like, what do you mean? You like, also, I think it's like my food issues. Like, I know what I want to eat. I know what's going to sound good. I guess other people don't have that. Maybe not everybody.
No, not everybody's crazy.
Yeah. But it can be hard for me. It can be hard for me to wait for that. A lot of these things I'm noticing too, as I did some research into ADHD, a lot of these things go with ADHD. So I find that interesting that maybe if you have this wound,
Maybe it's caused by maybe this will cause ADHD.
maybe it's related. But anyway, I don't know if I don't think it said that in the book, but it might be. I do this, I've noticed, and I've really been trying to work on this. I even told my therapist about this, and she said she noticed this about me too. But that sometimes I'll interrupt when people are like speaking to me or in a conversation, and I'll answer before the other person is finished.
I do that too.
Yeah, I think a part of me when I think about this and maybe where this came from, I like think about being a child and like I feel like my brother is so quiet, but of course he wanted to talk too. And I guess like I mentioned before in other episodes, my mom was really busy. I didn't already felt like I didn't have a lot of time, or my dad either, to like talk to them. So if I'm in a conversation, I want to make sure, like selfishly, I start trying to make sure I get to say everything I need, because what if I don't have a chance to sell you again?
Oh my god.
What?
Sometimes I feel like I have to say things quickly because also people are going to lose interest in the conversation. Like I'm
for
not
sure.
good enough. So I have to say it really fast.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't lose them.
Yeah, for sure. Look at us. Look, we're healing ourselves. We're finding all kinds of great things. But
so much fun.
but I do think too, like I interrupt because sometimes I think it's because I relate to something someone said and I'm like really excited and I want to, especially if it's like a group of like 2 or 3 people, like sometimes the moment will pass, right? So you want to make sure I like interrupt, make sure I can say that part. I don't want the time to pass.
I was doing that to somebody that I loved. It was unconscious, and I hurted her a lot. I hurted this person a lot, and I deeply regret it. And I've apologized, but at the time, I didn't know that it was a fucking mental problem. It just made me look like a selfish person,
right?
So I feel like maybe that's the problem. You are not doing it to hurt the person, but maybe the person might feel cut off or
sure,
blah,
yeah,
blah, blah, you know?
Yeah.
But we don't know that they do or not because they never told you.
Yeah. And that's something about like your inner, I guess, adolescent. You like to assume all kinds of stuff. But it obviously makes sense that somebody wouldn't like I wouldn't like to be cut off, right?
But we do it.
I know.
I just can't help it. My brain's racing at a million.
Maybe you have ADHD too.
No, absolutely. But I feel like also for us, we do it to each other, but we don't think it's bad because we do it to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, we understand it's not like we're
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't give a crap about what you say. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I want to relate to you. I have this
Yeah.
experience too. I
Mm-hmm.
want to share this with you. But it's still a problem.
No, it's a very
You
big
know?
problem, and I just don't, I don't want to make people feel like I don't give a fuck about them because that's not the case.
Yeah. We work on it. We'll work on it
Yeah,
together.
we're doing better.
Yeah. Futurizing things, to that's what it called it in there, to futurize, to plan everything for the future. That doesn't necessarily always mean good things, bad things, like whatever. I don't know if they really, if this would be considered what you talk about with daydreaming, because sometimes I think it is kind of like a fantasy or daydream to like
Do
plan
you
out a trip.
fantasize about it? Like in your head, you're in the boat. If you're on vacation, you're like fantasizing about doing all the things and the things that you have to do, or is it just like, oh, this is the list of things I have to do, or do you actually have a scenario in your brain and the outfit that you're wearing and the details and everything?
I think sometimes maybe.
Then yeah, that's daydreaming.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't went on a trip in a while, so let me as we plan our trip, let's see how that
How
goes, and
crazy you want to go?
we'll circle back.
Yep.
But I definitely like I okay. You know what? I guess I did think about this like before, even before I was with my husband. But thinking about getting married one day, I would think about my
Mm-hmm.
wedding all the time, whether I was single or not.
Yeah.
I would picture it mostly when I was like trying to go to sleep. And I'm like, I can't go to sleep. What can I think about? That's just like a almost like a soothing like story time. Like just
Mm.
I don't know. Difficulty living in the present. I definitely have had this problem, but I feel like I've gotten better about it. But sometimes I would be stuck on something from the past, but more so, I think I'd be worrying about what's happening in the future.
Mm.
I have a hard time just living in the moment and just like it reminded me of something you said before, like you were upset about something when you were hanging out with someone and it's like you couldn't even enjoy your moment.
No.
But that's because I guess you were
Mm-hmm.
that's a little different, but it feels
But the thing,
like that.
I was stuck in the past and the future because
Yeah.
it was because of something that happened to me in the past, and I was afraid it was going to happen to me in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a multiple. It was great. It's like one of those those like double answer questions on a test.
Double whammy. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, but it's like it's hard to just hey, nothing's going on right now. Everything's cool. I'm having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really trying to work on being more present.
Me
And I
too.
do think like doing my yoga, like if
Yeah.
I would meditate more, that would also be helpful. But yoga, sometimes you meditate ish when you do, you're like clearing your mind, you're not doing anything.
I feel like
Else,
meditation is, I recommend it a lot.
yeah, for sure.
It's the shiznit.
They say it can help you live in the moment.
Yeah, mindfulness. Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Not I don't trust others to do things right and will check in. For example, I mentioned in the last episode about humiliation, having like a checklist to make sure like certain chores were getting done. And I think like for example, like I think I've questioned my husband like, did you clean this while in the shower? Like, because I was like shaving my legs and it feels like bringing like yeah, but like like I'm concerned like if it's not done my way that it's not done correctly.
And I feel like those people tend to be like martyrs too because they're like, I'm not gonna know if I don't do it. But then later it's like, I have to do everything. I'm
Yeah,
like, bitch, because you won't let nobody do nothing.
for sure. That's definitely been me. I think that's
Yeah.
less of me now, but it's been me. But like we were making I wanted hash browns one day. And so I can't remember why I couldn't make them. I don't know if it was like during my work day. I was doing something so I could. So like I kind of like started the process, but then my husband took it over because I went to go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back, I'm like, oh, you're cooking them like that. Like they're not gonna turn out right. Like I was so concerned he would like they were gonna
Food.
yeah, I know. It was this example is about food.
All of them.
But I do have a bit I like yeah.
Sorry.
Like for me, oh my god. I have a thing about potatoes as it
She
is.
does. She's a crazy potato bitch.
I don't like them to be firm ever. Yeah, because one time remember one time I had a conversation with you about potatoes? Oh my god, potatoes. But I was thinking they were going to end up firm because he wasn't cooking them the way that I do it. And then they were so good. And I'm like, listen to myself, like,
You're a bitch.
I have to calm down because my way is not always the right way.
No.
And it's okay for things to be done in a different way. But I have that problem. I will, especially like, I think as a teacher, I would be concerned that students weren't doing things like in a correct way or following the process. But part of that was like on a test, sometimes you have to like answer with the certain steps that was taught. So, but I would be concerned. I'm like, oh, and it sucks because like there's more creative ways to do things, but like on the test you had to show it. But I'd be concerned that things weren't getting done right. Consider myself to be hard workers and responsible. I don't think that's a negative thing, but people with this wound.
Yeah, but I feel like the people with our wound, we like, it's like our personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that I feel like in this world we have to realize that nothing that we are is who we are.
Yeah.
Our soul is not a teacher. It's not a this. It's not a that. It's just things that we do
I mean, it's true. And I think a lot of that too is like from living here
in America.
because because you, yeah, here in America. Because I saw something once like, it was like a perspective of, I don't remember which country they were from. They're like, oh, like tell me about yourself, and they would just say all these cool things they did. And they're like, if
Mm-hmm.
you ask somebody in America to tell them about stuff, they'll be like, oh, I'm a
I went to
teacher,
work.
oh, I'm a cop, oh, I'm whatever. Like that's like the first thing I do think about that sometimes when you
That's
describe
all we do.
yourself.
What do you do?
Yeah, and definitely when I was a teacher, that was my freaking identity. I
Yeah.
was a hard worker.
That's all the teacher's identity and the
It's
nurses.
it's hard. It's hard to separate. I mean, that like we talked about before, how like that. Yeah, some professions take more from you than I guess you
Yeah.
don't have to let them, but
Yeah.
you feel obligated to give more of
Yeah.
yourself, and it will take you over. And it's like you can't. It's
No.
I felt like I was nothing else. That's
Yeah.
part of why I knew I needed to go because I'm
Yeah.
like, I would like to go and have a conversation that doesn't revolve around
Around teaching.
teaching, and I really hardly could.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
No.
I brought it home. I brought it out. I brought it. I talked to other teachers about teacher stuff.
Yeah.
I probably talked to you about teacher
You
stuff
did.
some, and you're probably like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Whatever, lady. But you let me, so thank you. But
Yeah.
it's hard. Like, but I don't know. You need separation from work. I've learned that, if nothing else. Um, let's see. Make sure that everyone knows all the things that they've done so others will think that they're responsible and trustworthy. I think that's definitely true. Like I do
Mhm.
think some people with this one might do it because they want like bragging rights.
They want validation.
Yeah, because for me it's not like I want you to be like, "Oh my gosh, you're so great that you did all this," but it's like I want you to see like, "Hey, look at all this stuff I got done. I'm responsible. You can trust me to do XYZ because
I'm
I will
worthy.
yeah, I will get it done." It's not like I'm the best. Give me praise. It's like, "Hey, look, you can count on me." It's like that kind of vibe. Do you know what
It's
I
still
mean?
validation.
Yeah, it is. It is. Showing courage and completing things. For me, I knew when I had been teaching for a few years that I might want to do something else, but I might want to still do something related to teaching. So I ended up getting my master's degree while I was teaching, which was a lot of work. And I definitely think that was courageous. And I got it done. I completed it. When I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a new job, I did. I took all the steps I needed to get a job outside of teaching. I mean, pretty much all the things I do. Like right, it makes me think of what we talk about with manifesting sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you see it, you want it, you do it.
Yeah, she does.
And sometimes it's like this podcast. I
Yeah.
wanted to do this podcast and
Mhm.
it was like a little scary, but I'm like, nah, it's fine. We're
Yeah.
good. We're good.
I mean, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but I have no follow through because I have, rejection wound too.
Oh,
So,
yeah. But here we are. Hard to confide in others due to fear that it could be used against them. Like I'm thinking about like back in my
mm,
childhood, I was like really close with these two girls that were sisters and we would do like all kinds of stuff together. And then a new neighbor
mm,
moved in,
oh,
right? And she,
betrayal.
yeah, yeah, right. And she was a little bit. Well, she might have been as old as the older one. She was older than me because it was like
Mm,
I was the youngest, and there was somebody 1 year older than me, then somebody 2 years older than me. So I think she was like as old as the oldest one. But anyway, one of the sisters got really close with that girl. She had the same
mm,
name as me, actually. How funny! But I felt like I couldn't. I started losing my trust in her because like
mm.
sometimes we acted like we were like so close, like best friends, and then suddenly she'd be friends with them, and something would like come back to bite me in the face if I, you know what I mean?
Yo, okay.
Yeah. So that probably happened way back then.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens a lot, like when you're trying to like make friends in your childhood and in your definitely
Yeah.
in your like adolescence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like people, you think somebody's your friend, you'll confide in them, and next
And
thing you
you're
know, they're bringing
fudged.
it back up. Or definitely in a romantic
Yeah.
relationship, it can happen too. Um, adding comments to what others are saying, that kind of makes me think back to what we were saying about like the interrupting. Like
Yep.
you just want to know. I feel like you want people to know, like, I get you, and here's why. You know what I mean? Not like I'm trying to take away your moment, but like I really understand how you feel because this has also happened to me, or something similar has happened to me. I do that a lot. I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to do that less. I'm trying to be more of a listener.
Yes,
I
I
don't know if
think
you.
that's also my goal.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I have like some. There's been times I'll have typed something to you. I'm like, no, no.
That's
I'm just gonna let her say
she's
what she
not
needs.
crazy. She's too crazy right now.
I'm like, I'm just gonna let her say it.
For her defense, I've been super fucking crazy the last 2 months. Probably the craziest I've been in the last decade. So
I definitely think you've been like
very crazy.
I don't know what I would say you've been. Like,
Thank you
just
for your
like
support.
unsure.
Very
You're
crazy.
welcome. Like, you need support. There you go.
Yeah.
You need
Thank you
somebody.
so
You
much.
need to know that, well, you're welcome, of course. Okay. Having the last word and always have to find something to add. I think that happened a lot with me, probably and my sibling, my brother growing up. Like, that could just be a big sister thing, or maybe not. Maybe it's this wound. I think a lot of like romantic relationships I've had, I felt that way. Like, I need the last word. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Don't like being watched or corrected. Literally, I loathe this so much when somebody teaches me something new. I'm thinking mostly work related, but probably as a student, I was like this too. And like, you want me to try it in front of you? Like, no, I want to go off and practice this a little bit by myself, and then I'll come back and do it in front of you. But like, I don't want to do it in front of you right away. Like, I haven't processed it. But some people don't care about that. They're like, oh yeah, I can walk you through this. No, you can't. Tell me what to do. And I'll go do it, and I'll get back with you. Bye. I don't like that because I don't want to be. Yeah. It says like being corrected. I don't mind being corrected, but like, let me at least try to figure something out. Like, I don't know. I feel like my husband does this to me, actually. He wants to correct me with driving, especially. I literally hate riding with him. I used to be the person who drove everywhere. Do you remember? Yeah. I would drive all the time. I would drive all my friends, and I never cared. And I was never like self-conscious about my driving. And I am now. I am now. And my husband just thinks he's the best driver ever. And my driving is not up to par. But I think a lot of men think that. Like, I'm not like a big like feminist over here or anything, but I feel like
people think I drive like a crazy bitch. So
I feel like you used to scare me a lot. I feel like you used to be a little wild, but now I feel like you're like a mom driver. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're calmer, maybe because you're a mom.
But I also feel like the people. I mean, like the other day, I took a couple people to a concert, and when I don't have my daughter in the car, I wild out.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and I was driving 100 miles per hour. I didn't know I was. God. It was in my new car, and I didn't know.
So you're still wild. Okay.
Well, she's in there.
Oh. Okay.
And on the way back, I was taking them back into the car, and they were all drunk, and they were crossing the street. And I told one of them, like, come here because you're gonna get ran over. He was like, now you give a fuck about my safety?
Oh.
He's like, you've been driving 100 miles per hour on the fucking highway, and now you care if I get ran over? I'm like, I can't control you getting run by a car. I can control my car. I'm a good driver. I just drive fast.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you were scared.
I don't feel like you drive fast anymore.
I don't know. Not with my daughter in the car.
Yeah. So maybe it's just because the last few years, if I've been in the car with you, either I've been driving
but I also know that you have car issues.
Yeah, I do. That's true. So I do have car issues.
And I have a cousin that lives in Texas. She also has car issues. So she asked me to tone it down. So if you ask me, I'm not a fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Maybe that's also why that's probably also why I have issues.
It's control issues.
Yeah. It's my whole life. Difficult to be taken by surprise and not have time to prepare. Absolutely despise it. Like, if somebody at my job was like, I need you to come in today, that would send me in a tailspin. If you told me I need you to come in like tomorrow, I'm probably still not thrilled about it, but like, I'm okay, I have time. Mm-hmm. But like, I do not like surprises, even good ones. I don't really like good surprises. It makes me uncomfortable.
I want to be real with you. I've never told you this, but there's been times where we have plans and detrimentally I cannot make it, but I make it happen because I know it's going to fuck you so hard. Oh, Nancy. And I don't want to disappoint you. Oh. So I do it anyway.
Well, but that's not good for you. There has been a few times you're like, are you going to be okay? Like, you ask me.
Well, now, because now I'm working on it.
Okay.
But before.
But in the past.
Before
we were working on stuff?
Yeah, before we were working on stuff.
And it did bother.
Before you were working on stuff.
Okay, because now I've learned that sometimes people do have to cancel.
Because I feel like I'm pretty reliable. But lately, like I said, I overscheduled, I overdid. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I did have that fear that, like, I didn't want to disappoint you because you weren't aware of your trauma yet.
Yeah, and it probably would have put me somewhere.
Exactly.
Well,
thanks. But now that you're aware of it, we could talk about it. Like, hey, I'm sorry, I disappointed you. Like, a piece of shit, you know.
Well, thanks for your sacrifice.
No, yeah,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry you had to sacrifice, though.
It's okay.
God. Okay. I guess that's what friends do.
We made it.
Sometimes we sacrifice.
I knew
for
you
each
would come
other.
around.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I find it difficult if someone doesn't believe me. I do, and I think some people do this and they sound really defensive.
Yeah, I do that too.
You know what I mean? And then it makes you feel like they're lying because they're being really defensive. But I'm not much of a liar. I know they said this wound will be a liar.
Me too, but I'm not.
Or was it humiliation?
Was it a liar?
Yeah. I value when we get to injustice wound next time, like, like honesty is like super important to
Me
me.
too.
I don't really find myself to be a liar, but I get really upset if people don't believe me. But if I was lying, I wouldn't make that big of a fuss. I would just move on because I feel like I'm not even a good liar.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't even be a good liar, which is fine. I don't want to be a good liar,
No.
but I do find it like this is more like if I remember a certain situation that happened and someone else isn't remembering it like me or don't remember it at all. This happens with my husband. Like he's like, "Oh, that happened. I don't even know." I'm like, "This was such a big deal. How do you?" It's like, "Were you not even there?" Like, I'm like, "No, this really happened." And he's like, "Oh, I thought this happened." I'm like, "No, it was this," and it really will bother me
Yeah.
that they don't believe what I. Who knows what the real truth is? But whatever
Right.
I
Your
perceive is
perception of the
my
truth.
truth. Is like no. Reputations are important. Yeah, I mean, I think I do have this reputation from most people as being like this nice, goody goody person, and in a way that is really me. So I think I like to. Nancy's giving me looks. I'm not a nice goody goody person. I am. I am to an extent.
To an extent, yeah.
To an extent, but there's obviously more of me. But I kind of maintain my reputation as those things,
Yeah.
and not. I don't get super real with everyone in my life. I mean, mostly my friends, I would say yes, but my family, I would say no. I feel like there's a lot my
They don't even
family
fucking know you at this
doesn't.
point.
Yeah, I believe that because I'm maintaining the reputation of me as they have.
Yeah.
Don't like when they can't answer a question. My therapist and I had to have a conversation about this. So we were talking about why do I have this fear of Nancy actually made this phone call today. I didn't say I wouldn't make the call, but Nancy volunteered and I wasn't going to talk her out of it for our restaurant little reservation this morning. She's like, do you want me to call? No, you don't want to tell me. You are right. But I had to call and make an appointment for something because you couldn't do it online. And I'm like, how can we not do it online? But anyway, we were trying to get to the point like, why do I have such a problem? And it's because I don't like not having like, I'm like, what if I get on the phone and they ask me for my information on this card and I don't have this card with me, or they ask me for XYZ and I don't know. And my therapist is like, you're not an expert on every single topic. You don't have to know the answer. She's like, you can literally say, hold on, let me go get it. Or actually, she made me say what I could do. Of course, I had to be a part of that conversation. So I'm like, well, of course I could just be like, hang on, let me go look. She's like, yeah. And then I think she suggested like you could even be like, let me get in, I'll call you back.
Sometimes when like my sister or something will ask me a question, because like there was a point where like she like looked for me for answers sometimes,
Okay, yeah.
and I didn't know the answer. Instead of just admitting that I know the answer, I felt like I was being relied on. I would Google it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've done that. I've done that too for people.
God forbid I don't fucking know it.
Yeah. That's yep, me too. It's hard. It's hard to feel like you don't know.
Yeah.
But we can't be held like responsible for knowing everything.
I know.
That's hard to accept.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. This someone with this wound is often like when people talk about them, they might say, "Oh, she was a born leader." I feel like I got told that so much. Like in my like jobs, or like I would end up being like a team lead or something. I mean, the job we worked at together, I was like an assistant manager. I know I was a key holder, I just call it assistant man, whatever. I was making schedule, I was doing those things, just not getting paid for it as well. But yeah, these people I am these people often can be in like jobs with management or team leads, or like
so there is good aspects of being fucking mortally traumatized by your parents.
There definitely can be.
These are all our actresses and Hitlers and all that come from,
Yeah,
gotta come from somewhere,
right? Yeah, but I mentioned like I wanted to start up a book club, so I did. Like I have no problem like leading stuff, like maybe because I wanted to plan stuff, like I wanted to lead stuff as a kid, as now everything. Difficult to make up my mind unless I'm sure of myself or I'm sure about the situation. So yeah, that we kind of talked about this in another wound, like kind of going back and forth. Sometimes you just want validation, like sometimes you already know, sometimes you don't. But this wound in particular, like just unless I'm really sure. I'm trying to think, like when I was thinking about getting my new car, like the last time I got my new car, it was very impulsive and I loved it in the moment. It was very much like switching over to a new, I mean, obviously more expensive, but it was like switching over to a new shampoo, right? Like, oh, there's a new exciting shampoo. It smells good. It's a pretty color. Like, oh, I want it. And then like you miss what you have because you made a rash decision, which is what I did. So.
And then she tried to get me to switch cars because she was unhappy with her car.
Did I?
You're like, maybe you shouldn't get an RDX. I'm like, I want an RDX.
Yeah.
I am not fucking up.
That
I know what I lack.
that
Don't
wasn't
project
because
on
I
me.
wanted you to be unhappy.
Do not project on me.
I wasn't trying to have you get my car. I just said if you can get something more, girl, ask for it.
I like my car.
But no, I know. I like your car too. Your car's nice. But yeah, so there's that. Difficulty making up your mind unless you're like so sure. Don't give others a chance once once you've decided you don't trust them. Like, I mean,
oh my God.
I've been battling wounds since like first grade, right? Like,
and then you
from
call it a
middle
gut
school.
feeling.
Yeah, like it's hard out there. Like, once whether you know what, I don't even know if someone has to literally do something to make you not trust them. You just,
For me, no.
you know what I mean? You just already don't trust.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're
Like,
screwed and it's not even their fault.
Nope.
Now, sometimes people will do one or two things to you and then you have a
Yeah.
hard time fixing the trust, but I don't know if that's different. Someone with this wound might love falling in love and like the passionate side of a relationship. So you might really be into the beginning of a relationship, which I feel like most people are, but maybe they aren't. Maybe some people are just waiting for that, like, you know, calm, comfortable vibe. But I love love. Like I mentioned before, all I wanted was to get married, and I love being in a relationship, and I love like that. Like, I like to read books where there's like some characters who are like super passionate about each other. Like, I don't know, I just like it. So the last one for me is if your partner refuses to be like intimate with you or to make love with you, you might feel like betrayed by that and their feelings about you. But I think for me, I used to feel really rejected, but according to these wounds, like it's
betrayal.
You know, it's your mother wound. So I don't.
Yeah.
But can a mother wound make you feel? I mean, can you in your present moment as an adult? Certainly still like can be affected by the opposite sex too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff, but I do not like it. But like it has to, you know, if I don't want to, then that's fine. Actually, sometimes if I don't want to, I like will feel bad about it. Like I'll feel guilty.
Me too.
Because I'll be like, it's not that I don't want to be with you. It's just like maybe I actually don't feel good, or maybe I'm tired, or maybe whatever.
Oh, but God forbid if they do.
Exactly.
Then I'm a piece of shit. You don't want me.
Yeah. All right, you're up.
For me, I have a profound. And you know what? I don't know if you've been listening to this podcast. I don't know if anybody's not actually listening. But anyway,
if you're listening, leave a comment. Let us know you're there. And thanks for the comment we have.
I've been single for 10 years almost. I did not know if I had any issues, guys, because I've been working on myself, but I can't work on my male related issues. Right. I feel like I worked through someone with my brothers at work. They did a lot of shit to me that I think at first I was upset, but now I realized looking back, it was just, I needed to heal that. And I did. Like, I feel so much better, you know, but I couldn't heal you can only heal being in relationships.
Or in the situations, I guess, right? Yeah.
And to heal the mother wound, it's easy because I can feel the feelings with my daughter, with you, with my friends, with my family, with any female. But with males, it's really hard because if there's no male there, how the fuck do you heal it? So I was very naive to think that I was just this healed bitch, that I was going to be in a relationship and then it was just going to be magical. And for the like months it was, until I got triggered. And I feel like this profound mistrust in people. Back in the day, I trusted no one. Like, I always thought people were lying to me. I always thought they were cheating on me. Always thought that everything was a lie. Even like even about going to work. Like, just about because that's what I got lies. The lies were basic AF. Like, so I feel like it was betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. And I feel like my real betrayal comes from, and it's weird because they say it forms in the ages of 1 to 4, but for me, my real betrayal from my father came the day I was 20 years old and I found out a really intimate, I'll probably never share. And if I do, it'll probably be like in 20 years when my parents are gone, because I found out the origin of my parents' relationship. And that day, the perception I had of my father, just like literally like from that day forward, I was just like disgusted. I never saw him the same ever again. It's until recently, like this last trip, that I decided that he's not my husband. He didn't do anything to me.
Right.
He is my father. He didn't betray me. I mean, he betrayed me in other ways by not being there for me and supporting me and getting me on the bus and all that bullshit. But so I just feel like I don't have a deep sense of trust in men. That men are going to show up and take my trash out. The men are going to show up and help me pick up something that men are going to show up and pick me on and take me on the date.
Right.
And then it just feels like the men that I picked in the past were just a literal, like, they were just a validation of my beliefs. And I feel like I've changed a lot of my beliefs. So I feel like in the last 5 years, I am no longer a man hater. But before, remember, I was like, I don't want to be in all this bullshit. You know,
You're like, I don't need a relationship. I don't want a relationship.
Yeah,
I don't
I
want to
was
live with
like,
anybody. I don't want anything.
I feel like I was that bitch that said dudes ain't shit, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, like a legit fucking man hater.
Yeah.
I'm very intense in my emotions and reactions. Here lately, the only thing I have noticed, because I said in 10 years I didn't have anything, I still have to say something, but it's not like how I used to say it. Before, I used to like literally like a fucking dragon that would just spew out that fucking fire and I burn the whole place down.
I mean, one time you were helping me clean a townhouse for someone who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
And you were on the phone. I mean, you were speaking Spanish. I don't know what you said, but you were pissed and you
Yeah.
were arguing on the phone. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be on the other end of that.
Yeah.
The dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I've noticed that I'm still upset and I probably say the wrong thing, but I'm not yelling and I'm still a dragon, I think, but I'm not
spitting fire.
I'm not spitting fire, but I'm still hurting. You're still afraid, you know?
Just some smoke, some steam.
Yeah. And I'm very hyper vigilant. So I'm always scanning for potential threats. If your pattern of texting is wrong, if you looked at me the wrong way, if you looked at your watch, if shit, I don't know, you used to do this, but today you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just so hyper vigilant of other people's reactions to prepare myself to control the outcome so I don't get hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's my big, I feel like just, I don't want to get hurt. I avoid a lot. I have avoidance behaviors. I have a lot of self-doubt. So I feel like that's probably where my trust issues come from, because up until 2 months ago, I did not know what my gut was. I was before, in my past relationships, I was in constant state of alert, that I thought that alert was my gut feeling. And since the person that I was with was a literal piece of shit, everything that I felt was true. So that anxiety and that weird shit, I thought deep down, okay, that's my gut. So when I started feeling these feelings, I started thinking, wait a fucking minute, my gut's telling me this person's not safe anymore. But I'm like, but everything I've learned told me, yes, he is.
Mm-hmm. Like the actual evidence of this
yes.
person.
I'm like, Nancy, yes, he fucking is. He is safe. You need to learn what and then I told my sister, and my sister's like, your gut is not loud. And I was like, and then my therapist told me that. She was like, your gut is silent. Your gut's like, hey, don't do that. Or no, your gut's not like, no, that's your anxiety. That's your fear.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I've been really working on that. Like, I've been praying to Allah and asking God that even when I feel anxious, that I still feel that my gut feels fine. And I do. Like, even like lately, that I'm crazy and I have like crazy thoughts, because I also have PCOS, so I have to add on my actual trauma to my chemical imbalance.
Right.
So it's like extra fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I have to be able to like now that's where I go back to. I'm like, okay, my gut says everything's okay. My chest is on fire, but it's not true. And then I'm able to soothe myself. So I feel like my self-doubt has gone less. I still have self-doubt, but and I have a lot of feelings of guilt and shame. I do. And I do have a tendency to like blame myself. And then I do have like, I feel like I have a lot. I just put difficulties on my relationships a lot.
Well, it's because, maybe it's not because, but like you mentioned, like,
I'm
you've
afraid
had
of being hurt.
You've had issues in other relationships, and it's almost like you expect them to be there.
Yes. And then I talked to my therapist, because obviously amongst all this bullshit that I've been going through, my therapist has been like, it's been holiday season.
Right.
So, and she has boundaries. So the time we do every other week, and the week that it was my week, coincidentally, it was the week that she was on vacation. So I've had to like literally pretty much no drugs, no alcohol, no food, no nothing, no abusing, just me out here living my life.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I don't have my therapist.
Right.
So I just feel like it's just it's just been a lot, and I just it's a lot. Like, what do I even? I don't know.
Right. And I think like you really question like what's real, what's
Yeah.
my quote unquote crazy, what's,
Yes.
like this situation happened, but like is this really a big deal? Like
And
it's,
so she told me that she thinks so everything was fine until the first time I compared this relationship
mm-hmm.
to to my past relationship.
Right.
I feel like I believe in manifesting. I believe in the power of the word. I believe that if you start believing something, it will come to fruition. The mind is trying to the universe will always say yes to you. Keep that in mind, even if it's good or bad. So I feel
Yeah.
like right now where I'm working on, it's putting myself back into me, regulating myself and making sure that I I'm being taken care of.
Right.
I'm taking care of myself. I'm very undecisive. I even if I make a fucking decision, it just what if I would have done the other decision? What if I would have done that?
That's my
Blah
whole
blah blah blah
life.
blah blah. Why did I say that? What blah 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 blah. My reputation is very important to me. Um, I don't know, even with like my family and everything. Like I've I feel like I always people just really think that I'm a really strong person.
Yeah, and I think that you said that. I remember you kind of put some boundaries in place, and you've kind, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, and you like mentioned it something like I'm showing more of like my authentic self
Yeah.
to someone. I don't know if it was your
Yeah.
family or friend, and like yeah, because I think you've been concerned about your reputation. Like you didn't say that, but now that you're saying it
Yeah.
now, I can see it.
Yeah. I feel like I just want to be me.
Yeah.
I feel like finally, yeah, I'm digging through these shits and I'm gonna find the real me. And it's a fear of knowing like are people gonna like me, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah.
I eat super fast. I don't I mentioned in the past that I pretty much like made myself look like shit so I wouldn't be this person. But when I was this person, I had and I'm not bragging or anything, guys, but I had this look that if I looked at absolutely fucking anybody this way, they would come to me. Like a seductive look, like just like masculine energy, basically. And I don't do it anymore. I don't. I'm very responsible. And I just, like Amanda, I just want everybody to know it. I'm super independent. I pay my own bills. I have everything. Like if I'm a fucking unicorn, no bitch. I'm a millennial woman in her 30s. I'm basic. We're all like this. Um, I can't live in the present, which I'm working on really hard. I'm working on really hard. I used to live in the past. That was my biggest, and I've noticed in this relationship, like when I was with my baby daddy, I talked a lot about Luca
Mm.
with
With him.
him,
Okay.
like this and that, blah 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 blah. Like I was always like complaining and like oversharing on it, and I was always in the past. I lived in the past,
Yeah.
and with everybody like, oh my god, they did this to me. And with this relationship, I don't like if he asks something, I say it, but I feel like I don't live in the past anymore. I'm not like, oh, nobody liked me in high school. Oh, I was bullied. I don't do that anymore. I don't live in the past, but I feel like right now I'm so hyper vigilant of preventing any kind of hurt that comes from the future. I do the same thing. I interrupt people, and sometimes I already know what they're gonna say. In movies, I already know the ending.
Yes. Movies, books. Yes.
Everything.
It's hard to surprise me.
Me too. And I thought it was because I was cool, but no, it's
Just we've
because I'm a
been.
fucking crazy bitch.
Yeah.
So I want to apologize to absolutely everybody that I've ever interrupted because I'm working on it. I'm trying to do my best. It's not because I don't love you. It's because I'm not using an excuse. Obviously, I have a fucking problem, and I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. I'm not excusing myself. But there's a reason why. And it's I guess this one.
That's a trait of ADHD too.
I probably have ADHD. I'm a very judgmental person when I'm very unforgiving when it comes to people that I meet as well, like Amanda. Like I feel like I've only known one person that's ever made a comeback.
Oh.
Like I have an employee, but now he's my brother's business partner. When I first met him, I could have sworn he was the biggest piece of shit in the world. I fucking hated that guy. My life's work when I got there was to get him fired.
Okay.
because I just didn't like him. I thought he was sneaky. I thought he was stealing from my brothers. I did not like him. And now he's literally like a really good friend. He's the only person that I can say that I formed an opinion of him, and then I fixed that opinion of him, and I was able to accept him. But now looking back, I think the reason that when I see people, and I've never been wrong either. Like I see them and I'm like, that person's a fucking piece of shit, and you are gonna remember this.
Yeah, you called that out about my ex, like right
the
from
the,
the
the,
start.
the second
Yep.
I walked into her fucking birthday and I saw that guy, and I knew he was a piece of shit. And you know what? He knew that I knew.
Yeah.
The moment he looked into my eyes, we both knew.
Yeah.
We knew that we both knew that we knew. And I even told him that too. I was like, you fucking know that I know what you are.
Yeah.
I was like, because two monsters in the night, they see each other.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I was like, so yeah. So I was always like that. Like if I saw somebody, I'm like, oh, I don't fucking like that motherfucker. And now I try to do better. But I think looking back now with what's his name? Probably not, but with women and with, I just feel like probably it's just a fear of not being accepted. Like I'm going to reject you.
Yeah.
Before
yeah.
you reject me. And with men, it's like, you look like you're going to betray me. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is that all your list?
That's all.
Oh, okay. You put your phone down. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that. I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty long one. So how long is it?
47 minutes.
Oh, okay. I just feel like I know that there's that we're, I mean, come on, I'm better than I was 10 years ago. You're better than you were 5 months ago. So it's like, I know it's going to get better, but fuck.
Yeah. And I think some of the things that we mentioned in each of these wounds, some of these are things that are like currently still happening in our lives. And some of them are just things we've seen that we've healed from. Yeah. You know, because you will, obviously you'll heal from, well, if you're aware of them and you want to heal from them, you will. But
I feel like now that when I go through things, it's better because now I know that A, there's a solution, and B, there's a way out. I mean, like I'm not alone either, you know, because before it was like, you really think that you're just a crazy bitch out here. I feel like this era of 2025 has just been so great for people that are fucked up.
Yeah, because I used to think all the time, like anytime I hear, well, and you know what else too, based like from what you just said, people didn't always feel comfortable talking about it. So you also felt alone because you're like, well, nobody else was saying it, so it must just be me. Even you and I, we were so close. Some of it, I think we just didn't recognize.
No,
like you said.
No, we thought we were just crazy bitches.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, we're just screwed up. Okay, cool. Or maybe we thought we were normal for some of it. And then we realized you meet other people and you're like, oh, wait.
What I really think is that we thought that our exes were the worst people ever and they were causing us all this pain.
I mean, that's true. We did feel that way. So, I mean, they weren't the nicest people.
No, but
I know
were wounds that were already there. They were just poking them with a fork.
Right. We just found people who really said,
solidified them fucking feelings.
That's right. But what did you say? You said something. I wanted to say something too while we wrapped it up.
We didn't talk about it. 2025 is the era of it.
Oh yeah, we were talking. Oh,
I'm so blessed.
So, like, I have not been officially diagnosed with anything at this time, but you know, I've been in therapy for a few months now, and pretty much soon after I started, my therapist was already like saying, "Have you ever been tested for XYZ?" Mostly like ADHD, and OCD. Like, when I think of OCD, I often think about like people who need to wash their hand 3 times, or you know, that kind of stuff. But if you think about it, like,
that's what TV tells you.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, when you think of autism, people might have something in their mind of autism, but it's the spectrum, right? It's huge. There's so many, you know, it can be mild, it can be moderate, whatever. So anyway, tomorrow actually, well, it won't be tomorrow by the time this is out. Maybe by the time this is out, we'll have answers. But tomorrow in my world currently, I'm going to have my first appointment to talk to someone to basically see which test she thinks I need to take. And obviously my therapist said she'd like me to be tested for ADHD, OCD, and like an anxiety disorder. A lot of those things can overlap, and it could just be one of them. It could be multiple. And basically it's just to help me have like a plan going forward to how to work on things, rephrasing things, whatever I decide to do with this information. But it just feels nice to know, because what you're saying before, right? Like, we're just out here like, well, that's just who we are, whatever. But Like,
No, it's
I
not.
mean, I think some people are afraid of like a diagnosis for something, but to me, I feel like it's empowering. Like, okay, I'm not just screwed up. Something is truly going on with me. Some of these
Mm-hmm.
things can be a true chemical imbalance, and you can now find you once you know if you have something going on, like you can figure out maybe it's not like quote unquote curable,
Yeah.
but you can find strategies and ways to fix it and make it better.
Self awareness is power.
Yes, like so much. And see, I told you earlier my high school ring said knowledge is power, and you act like I was a big old nerd, but look, it's true.
It really is.
Knowledge is power. But the next wound, the final wound, is the injustice wound with a mask of rigidity. And my list is pretty long for this one too.
I
So
don't have a list yet, but I will.
yes. After we finish going through all of the wounds, we'll have an episode, probably just one, about some like probably superficial, basic ways to do some healing. And if you really want to heal them, read the book slash go to therapy slash do what you got to do. But yeah, then we'll be wrapping it up, and I don't know what we'll get into next. But the year is young, and we'll see what happens. But thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Bye,
bitches.
bitches.